First and foremost, this law was enacted in 2018, signed in 2019, precisely January 17th, and it had a 5-year implementation moratorium for people to understand it. A commission was also created. Now, in all the years that the commission has existed, funding has not been provided adequately. I didn't say funding was not provided, adequate funding. Because when you say 5-year moratorium, it is expected that all the organs of the media that is supposed to make this law understood and known to people was, I agree, it may have not been done properly. We in the disability people or disabled people organizations, DPOs we call ourselves, that is the NGO part of us, we have been doing some of this advocacy, all right? So, all said, ignorance of the law is not an excuse to flout a law. Work needs to be done. The office of the special assistant, senior special assistant to the president on disability is an office begging to be funded. In this year's budget, that office has 0 budget. No. So in a case like this, for example, how will that man function? The commission itself, I keep saying it, the law says that the commission or the law in its entirety makes provision for at least 5% of opportunities and employment and everything. At least 5%. If we have a country of 28 trillion naira budget and you give 5% of that, you give 10%, that's about 2, do the mathematics, you understand? That's 2.8, go down and make it 5%. If you spend that amount of money, everybody will know. But I thank God that even though we did not have the money and the voice to implement it, I had to take the voice of Adebola Daniels, the son of a former governor. People will say, oh, is it because he's the son of a former governor? I say, first, he's a person with disabilities. Injury to one is injury to all. And disability is not something that we pray for. Most of us were not born with disability. We acquired disabilities. Disability can happen to anybody. And come to think of it, when you grow older, chances are that you start using glasses, you end up using a wheelchair, you have urinary incontinence and so many other things that are associated with old age. That is a disability on its own. So if a country does not begin to take care of her persons with disabilities, who accommodates about 15% of the population, it means that you are shortchanging 15% of your people and reducing their capacity to deliver to you. Disability is not another name for poverty. You can tell that many persons with disabilities, I can mention notable names in Nigeria, if they tell you big names, but if they tell you that they are persons with disabilities, you will not believe it. They have been confined to wheelchairs as a result of certain accidents that happened in life. Why would such persons not have access? And when we say access, access does not just mean physical access. Access means being able to get into or get included into what you are supposed to do. The message hereon is remove all barriers. Whatever barriers that will inhibit progress, that will not make one to achieve their full potentials, please take it out. And it is a work in progress. I don't advocate for us to fight or war. I keep preaching moral suasion. This case of Mr. Daniels, I have suffered it before. My story is well known. But guess what? If that story didn't happen in 2020, we will not have the kind of accommodation we have in the aviation sector today. At least I can tell you that this current Minister of Aviation and his crew have done immense work to ensure that persons with disabilities are now being included. They have not done an excellent job. I didn't say 100% pass mark, but at least the conversation is on. The awareness is on. If it happens in aviation, tomorrow, yesterday was KFC, an eatery, maybe next one is a bank, transportation. This morning, the FCT minister was on live on air, and the question was thrown at him about the purchase of buses, mass transit in FCT. He said, well, even if he did not, I think he said he wasn't sure. He said he wasn't sure about what had been done. But he's assuring us that in this year's budget that he has, inclusion must be a priority. And persons with disabilities, the new buses that will come, he is ensuring that those buses will be inclusive. It will have all the facilities to make persons with disabilities survive and move about. That, for me, is a win. So, 5 years ago, we were not where we are. So, it's a work in progress. We may not be where we want to be yet, but we're definitely not where we used to be. Remember that we started this advocacy as servants and master relationship. The law came, the act came, we got onto the table to discuss as equals. Now we're in the hegemony stage where we must decide how we share, how we allocate resources to assist everybody. So in this third phase of power by John Gaventa, we should do the best. When I said it's not going to be war, if I come to you, I don't advocate for a war situation. What I mean by that is when we come for enforcement, it will be explained to you that there's an act. And even though the moratorium has ended and you say you did not know, we should give you a few days, maybe 90 days, to comply with that act. In some cases, you don't even need up to 90 days. If after 90 days you do not comply with the enforcement, then you will now be forced to. Now, it's either you are shut down, they lock your place, like it was done to KFC. That's one way. Another way would be go to court. Why I said not war, I have experienced war in advocacy. It did not, yes, it's not something I want to encourage because we had to destroy and then start to rebuild. I don't want to advocate for that. I want to say from wherever the mistake has been made, let us build upon that and grow from there. So it's going to be a win-win, not war.